Hello students, this is Mrs. Nitty and this is your lesson for April 2nd, 2019. We're going to discuss formal versus informal writing. So our agenda today and goals, first of all, we're going to discuss informal language such as slang, conversational language, and texting language. Then we're going to look at formal language, the where, the why, the how, where we should use it, why we should use it, and how we should use it. And then writing about your writing. Just say no. So for our goals, I can stop writing about my writing and I can start using formal language in my academic writing. So let's talk slang, or let's talk about slang. What is slang? And you may not have heard of the term slang, but you certainly know how to use it because I know I have talked with you folks. So slang is a type of language that consists of words and phrases that are regarded as very informal and are more common in speech than writing. And they are typically restricted to a particular context or group of people. So context means in a specific situation or, of course, in a specific group of people. So, for example, these are some examples of slang. So throw shade, and to be perfectly honest, I had to look up some of these because slang changes generationally. So of course, when I was your age, which yeah, I hate saying that, we said things like far out and groovy, and of course, that's showing how old I am. Yes, we did say things like that, so I'm embarrassed to admit. But these are the kind of slang words that I hear today, and like I said, I didn't know about some of these, so I had to look them up. So, to throw shade means to insult or say something unkind about someone. Ship is short for romantic relationship. The T, I never heard of that, I had to look that one up, is gossip. And I got some of these slang examples from another younger teacher, so yeah, that's why I didn't know about them. Salty means to be angry or bitter about something. And I've actually heard this particular terminology because my daughter has used it on me. She said, "Mom, stop being so salty." And I'm like, "What?" And of course, then she explains it to me and I understand. Frenemy, of course, I've heard this one before. It's a combination of friend and enemy. Bae, I've also heard of this one before. It's a term of endearment. And actually, before I read the explanation of this, I thought bae meant like short for baby or babe, and that they were leaving out the B or something like that. But actually, it's an acronym meaning before anyone else, which I think is kind of sweet. And then low key is something that is done so that no one knows about. So when is it appropriate to use slang in your writing? Well, text messages. So if you're texting your buddy and you want to say something like, oh, you want to hear the latest tea, or what do you know about, tea? So that would be the gossip. Personal journal, so if you're writing a diary to yourself, that would be an appropriate use to use, or appropriate place to use slang in your writing. Social media, and I kind of disagree with this one a little bit. Social media, at least to me, you're kind of showing the world what you know or don't know. And if your goal is clarity in your writing, to be clear about what you're talking about, I don't think slang is an appropriate place to use it. However, if you're just putting things out there for just your buddies and stuff like that, yeah, I guess you could use slang in your social media. Then DMS to friends, so your digital media to your friends, Skype or whatever, yeah, that's appropriate then. And, I would say that, uh, I think a lot of students have a tendency to feel that when they're in CCs, that the chat is an appropriate place to use slang. Well, yeah, no, not really. You have to remember who you're talking to, and it's not a situation that you're just chatting with someone, even though it's called a chat box. You're actually talking to your teacher. So, conversation in your writing, short stories, memoirs, it's okay to use slang as well with those. All right, so then what is texting language? Well, we all know what that is because we all use it. And texting language is the abbreviated slang language and slang commonly used with mobile phone text messaging or under other internet-based communications such as instant messaging. When is it appropriate to use texting language in your writing? When you are texting, and that is it. And I think I've shared with you before, my students before, that I text with my own family, I text with my kids, I text with my husband, and my kids know enough that if they're sending me a text, they're sending a text to me, that they better do it with full words spelled out correctly and correct punctuation. My husband knows this. My own children know it. A lot of my friends know this, but apparently my sister doesn't know it because yeah, she's much younger than I am, and she sends me things like TY, and it took me a long time to figure out TY. Why is she saying TY? And then I figured out, oh, she's saying thank you with texting language. So, one thing you do have to remember again in CCs that you're dealing with an older adult as well as your teacher. So yeah, you want to avoid texting language when you are chatting in a CC. All right, formal versus informal writing. Formal writing is also known as academic writing. What do you think this means? Formal or academic writing is used for, number one, school writing assignments such as any argumentative writing, any debate, speeches, explanatory or research writing. So, the research essay that you're going to be writing for this unit is formal or academic writing. And formal and academic writing, that means the same thing. Any literary analysis where you're writing about literature. However, you should also use formal writing in emails to your teachers, your boss, your counselors, or any professional. Seriously, if you want to be taken seriously, you need to use formal writing. You also want to use formal writing in a resume and cover letter. So, when you get to the point in your life where you're looking for a job, you want to make sure that you use formal writing with your resume and your cover letter. And a resume is simply a list of your past experiences, including jobs that you've had, any sort of volunteer work, your schooling, and then a cover letter is just an explanation of why you are sending a resume to someone, typically because you want a job. Legal documents, and there are other situations where you would want to use formal writing versus informal writing. Informal writing is used for texting, friendly letters, social media, email to a friend or close relative, narrative writing, certain types of poetry, and there may be other options, other areas where you would use informal writing. So, what does formal writing mean? Well, formal writing versus informal writing, it's the tone of your essay. It's the words you use, not addressing the audience, no personal pronouns. So in a formal writing, you don't want to use I, me, my, we, thus, them, etc. And then no contractions. And I'm not going to be particularly strict about this no contraction rules. That's kind of hard to get away with, but that is one of the rules for formal writing. So the first thing that I want to talk about is don't write about your writing. And I see this all the time, and it took me a while to figure out, how do I say this to students? You shouldn't say things like I think, or the reason I think this, or as you can see, or I'm writing to tell you about. Yeah, you don't want to write about your writing. So, writing about writing. If you use any of these in your writing, then you are writing about your writing. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you about. The reason I think this is, the reason I connected with this is I think that what I mean, as you can see, in my opinion, I believe this paragraph is about, this paper is about. I'm writing to tell you, I say this because my first reason is, or you will agree that, yeah, don't you do it. Don't do it. And of course that's Adam Sandler. Not quite sure which movie that's from, but yeah, he's a funny guy. So why don't we write about your writing? Well, first of all, when you include writing about your writing, it's sort of like you're having a casual conversation with your reader. Nope, nope, nope. We don't want that. You are not having a casual conversation with your reader. You don't know your reader. You are not best buddies. And even though you know, of course, I'm the audience for this particular paper, and even though you may think you know me, I'm sorry, but we are not best buddies. I respect all of you as students, and I like all of you as students, but we are not best buddies. Because of this, your writing must be written for the masses or for the general public. So pretend you're publishing this in a professional journal or newspaper. So why don't we write about your writing? So if you use things like I think or I believe, it weakens your argument or statement. Saying I think reminds people that this is just one person's opinion. And basically for your research essay, for your research paper, what you're going to do is you're going to put an opinion out there, but you don't want to let people know that it's your opinion. And then the rest of your paper should support your opinion with facts and statistics and information from experts who have written about it, either in book form or on the internet. And saying I think or I believe makes them question whether they should believe you. So it's the difference between saying I think school uniforms should be banned versus school uniforms should be banned. The second one is definitely more authoritative and makes people think, wow, this person has confidence in what they know. I'm going to read this and I may believe them. Okay, why don't we write about our writing? Well, because we know our audience and their short attention spans. People are busy. They are working long hours, taking care of a family, taking care of a house. They want information and they want it fast. Give them only the statements, the evidence, and the reasons. Today I'm going to tell you about, these are just words that we don't need. We will know this is true when we read your paragraph. This takes extra time to read and people will lose interest. So, maybe in the back of your head you're thinking, well, yeah, but this will add to my word count. Well, that's true. However, you want to make sure that you include a lot of facts and statements and proof of to support your particular opinion, to support your thesis statement, and that is going to take up the bulk of your words. If you have too many words, if you use words like today I'm going to tell you about, yeah, I'm just going to cross them out and say, this is formal writing. You should not be using phrases like this. So we also want to avoid personal pronouns. I, me, my, you, especially you, and we. In formal writing, you do not use professional pronouns. That is a no-no. So no, I think, I feel, I believe, or you will see that, I will show you, you will see that. And a lot of times I've told students that don't use I, me, my, whatever. And then they start using words like we should feel, we should think, we should see that. Yeah, that's still a personal pronoun. So you want to avoid those at all costs. So also avoid contractions. Whoops, it should say don't, do not, can't, cannot, shouldn't, should not. So instead of using don't, use do not. Instead of using can't, use cannot. Instead of using shouldn't, use should not, etc., etc. And like I said, this is one of those things that's going to be very, very difficult to get away from. So I'm not going to be really, really picky about this as much as I am about the other rules. So avoid using there is and there are. And again, this is going to be another one that's difficult to get away from, but I want to challenge you to get away from this type of wording. So instead of saying there are a lot of challenges to learning in an online school, you can say online school presents a lot of challenges. And maybe if you're writing your first draft and you go through and you look at your sentences and you find sentences like this, then this is where you are going to use your revision skills and you're going to revise it so it looks more like this. Here's another one. There are many school programs to help students who are struggling. And that sounds like a reasonable sentence, but doesn't this sound much better? School programs help students who are struggling. It just gives it more authority and it's not as wordy. And I tell you, I'm as guilty as anybody of using there is and there are. But we should try to get away from that. All right. State your opinion like a fact. I think that school uniforms should require students to wear, or students, let me read what it actually says. I think schools should require students to wear school uniforms. So, basically, like I said before, using statements like I think, I believe, etc., weakens your argument. And if you say instead, schools should require students to wear school uniforms, that is definitely more authoritative and it is using, stating your opinion as like a fact. I believe that you will agree with me when I say standardized tests do not accurately measure student ability. Oh yeah, there's all sorts of problems with this particular sentence. First of all, it's using pronouns, you, me, I. Yeah, get rid of those altogether. And then we have that statement, I believe. So we'll get rid of all of that and just saying simply standardized tests do not accurately measure student ability. And of course, what you're going to do, like I said, is you're going to be able to you should be finding information to support your claim because there is information out there to support your claim. So you don't have to say, I believe. By doing research and finding out for sure that information is correct, you can confidently say whatever it is that you want to say as a fact. So let's practice. So let's change the following sentence so it models formal writing. I think that college education should be free. So if you want to put the recording on pause for a moment and think about that, although you probably don't need that much time, the correct way of saying it is college education should be free. Today I'm going to give you reasons why college education should be free. Well, we can think about what is wrong with the sentence, and I do see a couple things wrong. Today I am going to, yeah, that's wrong. You, that's wrong. So if we reword this and get rid of some of these extra words, again, college education should be free because. And when you are doing your thesis statement, and which is something that we will talk about in a future recording, if this is your thesis statement, college education should be free because, and as you list your 3 main reasons why college education should be free, those become your body paragraphs. And again, we'll talk more about that in an upcoming lesson. Change the following sentence so that it models formal writing. Yeah, that's pretty obvious there what the problem is. Schools shouldn't require students to complete homework outside of the school day. Yeah, instead of shouldn't, we want to say should not. Okay, so here's a really big wordy one. There are several reasons why college education should be free. One of them is that you will go into a lot of debt if you must pay for college. You will spend years trying to get out of debt. Okay, so first of all, we know we cannot say there are or you, so let's start out by deleting these phrases. Then, reword what's left so that it makes sense for the reader. College education should be free because students incur a significant amount of debt that can take years to pay off. A true statement. Okay, so let's recap this. Remember the tricks to formal writing. No personal pronouns. No I, me, my, you, we, us, them, they. Get rid of them altogether. Get rid of extra language. Today I will tell you, I will show you that, you will see that. No contractions. Write out both words. And then no there are or there is. Take these words out of the sentence completely. And then state your opinion like a fact. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to click to the next page to take the quiz for this lesson. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day. Bye now.